All right, we are live, everyone. Welcome, everyone, to another edition of Deconversion Stories. And today I'm speaking with Mr. Jeremy Howell. He is also known as Germ.
Yeah, that's me. Hi.
And he's one of the members of the Un-cult-ured podcast. And he also has a YouTube channel. And I have links to all of that important stuff down below. So please go check it out. And if you haven't subscribed to him or the podcast, do so, because it's very much worthwhile. And, well, Jeremy, what I do here is I talk to people about why and how they left religion, the journey it took them on, the trauma that they got out of it or from it, and stuff like that. So why don't you kind of take us back to when you used to be a believer and what kind of led you out of that and into becoming the atheist activist that you are today?
Okay. So I was a born and raised Jehovah's Witness, which is a bit of a high control doomsday cult. So I was kind of raised to believe that basically everything that's happening right now, like, with coronavirus and everything, like they have been waiting for this moment since since before I was born. They're super excited right now. So that's kind of what I was. Yeah. And so learning about that kind of stuff, like the end of the world and preparing for the end of the world, was kind of like things that I learned before I even knew how to read. But I was also like really into it. I was a really strong Jehovah's Witness. I took it all very seriously. I like to call myself one of the smartest ones that was there. I was very full of myself, as Jehovah's Witnesses tend to be. So yeah, that's how I started. And because of things like that, like I ended up being like pulled out of schooling and everything because my parents thought that the end was coming. And there was no reason for me to finish high school or even go to high school. They pulled me out in 5th grade and put me into a homeschool. But the homeschool wasn't really school. It was kind of like one of those things where you could count your time doing Jehovah's Witness activities as schooling. So like studying every week for the Watchtower, going door to door, all of that kind of stuff. That was
the curriculum, so to speak.
That was my curriculum. Yeah. So I'm really dumb. If I say anything stupid, please don't judge me. I don't know anything, but I like to play it off really well.
No judging, guys.
Don't judge me, please. I've read a lot of books. That's kind of been my escape from it all. So
there you go. That's something.
Yeah. So it all went kind of like that for a while. Like I was growing up and I thought, like, for my future, the way I kind of saw myself was I wanted to go to Bethel. That's what I wanted to do. Bethel is like the big Jehovah's Witness compound in New York. It's their headquarters. Yes. Yeah, it totally is. It's totally isolated right now. It's totally isolated and on like a farm. And that's where they make all their literature and their videos. So I wanted to go there and be a writer for Watchtower.
Cool.
And that was my future. And, it was all well and good until like I turned 13 and I realized I was gay. And and that's kind of a
big no-no.
A huge no-no.
Right.
And that's kind of where it all went downhill for me, was whenever I realized that, and I realized I had a problem, because at that age that I figured it out is kind of the age that they expect you to start getting baptized. And baptism for them is like, it's almost like Scientology's 1,000-year contract. Like it's life binding forever. Kind of, it's a big deal. And I didn't want to get baptized knowing that I was gay. I didn't feel right about it. So this kind of crushed all of my dreams, because you can't go to Bethel if you're not baptized. You can't do this if you're not baptized. You're not doing that if you're not baptized. So
hang on. If you did get baptized, let's say you didn't have those feelings about getting baptized and being gay. If you did end up getting baptized and you just didn't tell anyone about the gay side or whatever, would you have been able to go?
Yes. Totally. And I know actually lots of people, there's quite a few stories of even ex-JWs that went to Bethel and they were gay the whole time. Though one of the governing body aides was actually, he's a gay man. Howie Rutledge Tran, I believe his name is. So you totally could have done it. It was just, for me, I was so weirdly zealous and taking it seriously that I couldn't do that. So I started really beating myself up over it. I had a really horrible teenagehood, and I started looking. I started looking back in all of the Watchtower publications to find out, like, how can I stop this? What can I do if I'm gay? You know, they have their young people ask book that tells you, like, you know, masturbation is wrong and you can't have sex before marriage, and these are the positions you can do, and like everything like that.
Positions, really?
Yeah. Yeah. And so I was
because God cares what you do in the bedroom, people.
Jehovah is, yeah, and he's watching. He'll know.
I'll go full on tonight then.
Yeah. Yeah. So I was trying to find out what to do. Like, they had an answer for everything. Surely they know what to do if I'm gay. And this is, you know, it was a little bit different then than it is now. They didn't really have anything for gay people back then. Mm-hmm. So the closest thing I could find was like their stuff from like the 70s that was talking, they talked about gay people like they're, you know, like they're animals, really, or like it's some kind of perversion that's like this as good as like pedophilia, basically, is the way that it was viewed. So, you know, you're reading all this about yourself from publications that you trust, and you just want to die, you know, like, oh my God, what did I do wrong? I didn't think I did anything wrong. But they did say in the publications that there's been cases of people that have changed, and, you know, you can change if you want to. It's just a choice. You'll be fine. God. But they didn't really tell you how to change. So it was like, well, how do you change? And there was nothing there. So I got online and typed up, like, how do you stop being gay? And I found all of these deconversion therapy websites. And
right.
So that's basically what I did, was I followed the instructions basically on the websites to try and deconvert myself from being gay. So I would keep sharp things in my pocket, like safety pins or, you know, little knives or something. And anytime I had an errant thought, I would stab myself in the leg try and, you know, associate sexual thoughts with pain.
Right.
And
it's like your own little personal Clockwork Orange going on there.
Yeah. And it's crazy because, like, no one else around me knew that this was going on. They had no idea. I couldn't tell anybody. It was just like my own personal torment that I couldn't talk to anybody about, get any help about. It was just me and what I read online. I'm losing track of myself. Where do I go from here? So that didn't work. And I was probably like 16 or so when I started to realize, like, you know, God's not answering my prayers. Stabbing myself in the thigh isn't working. Like, you know, it was working to the extent where anytime I had sexual thoughts, I'd get really nauseous and feel sick. But it wasn't making me attracted to girls, which, you know, doesn't fit with that mental picture you have of marrying a wife and having 3 kids and going to Bethel and doing the whole witness thing. So I just kind of felt really hopeless. And at that point, like, if you're 16 and you're still not a baptized Jehovah's Witness, people really start to come in for you. So I started to get surrounded by people like, so what's the problem? Why aren't you baptized? What's holding you back? And I started losing privileges in the congregation. And all at the same time, as I'm starting to realize that, like, well, God's not answering my prayers, I'm starting to pick apart, like, the other teachings. Like, this doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense. So I'd call the elders up and be like, so like, they believe in paradise after Armageddon's going to come, and it's going to be paradise where you live forever. It's not really a heaven sort of thing. And I'm thinking about this, and they say that everyone who's ever died on the planet ever is supposed to be resurrected in paradise. And I'm like, so does that include, like, Hitler? Genghis Khan? Like, all of these horrible people? Is that going to include them? And what about, like, really everyone ever that's ever died? That's a lot of people. Like, where are we going to put them? How are we going to sustain the planet? How are we going to find food for them? That's where their house is going to be.
Well, Jehovah will take care of that.
Oh, yeah. So I started asking questions like that, and it was not good. So I got marked for answering these questions. And a marking is basically, they give kind of a passive aggressive talk about you on the stage without saying your name. They basically talk about what you're doing wrong. and look at you the entire time. And then the gossip chain whirls and everyone knows that you're marked and people stop talking to you. And, you know, you're not allowed to talk to anyone else that's not a Jehovah's Witness. So you get really lonely. Everyone stops talking to you. Your friends, all you have is your family at this point. So I got really depressed, and I was coming up on my 18th birthday, and I was at the point where I was like, well, you know, everybody hates me. Nobody loves me. Guess I'll eat some worms, you know.
I was just going to say that.
Yeah. So I figured I'm going to die in Armageddon anyway. Why am I doing all of this? Why am I trying so hard if I'm just going to die? I might as well party, you know.
Makes sense.
Yeah. So I started talking to people online, and I met some other gay people, and I started kind of doing the online dating thing. And there was a circuit assembly coming up, which is a big Jehovah's Witness convention kind of thing. And I knew that my parents would be gone at that. And so I arranged for a date while they would be gone at that. I told them I'd catch the one the next week because I have to work this weekend. And I arranged a date to drive out and meet me. And at this time, we lived in the middle of nowhere. So it was like they would be gone a long way away. This guy was traveling a long way away to see me. And I lived in the middle of nowhere. Mm-hmm. So this guy comes over, and he's like a 26-year-old cop. And I'm 17.
Oh, shit.
Mm-hmm. And I don't think anything about it because, like, my parents are over 10 years apart. So, like, this is just normal to me. I don't think about it then.
Oh, okay.
But it's not.
Well, not in that time bracket. I mean, when you get older, it's a little different. Like if you're 40 and dating a 30-year-old, that's a little different, right?
Right, exactly. And especially a cop. So he comes over, and, you know, I should mention, like, this, I don't know if this is TMI for everybody, but I was so like, I didn't even know how to masturbate. Like, this was how hard I went on the gay deconversion therapy, and like hurt. Like, I didn't even know how anything worked. I just.
You're good now, right? Like, I don't have to give you a tutorial.
I'm good. I figured. I just said, thank God for Pornhub.
Thank who?
Right.
Like the porn gods. There you go.
Yeah. So anyway, this guy comes over, and given like my lack of experience with everything, nothing really happens. And then I hear he's down there. He's downstairs with me, and I hear a car pull up outside, and it's my mom. And I'm like, oh my God, my mom is here. She pulled in right next to his truck in the driveway. I don't know what I'm going to do. So I take this guy and I try and shove him under my bed, and he's like 6'5" or something.
That's my height.
Yeah. And I have like a twin size bed, and I'm trying to jamming him down there, and my mom shoehorn. Yeah, and my mom bursts into the room, and she takes one look at these legs, you know, coming out from under my bed like it's the Wizard of Oz, and and so she knows. She doesn't ask me any questions. She knows at this point that what's going on, and she just, I don't remember if she said anything, what she said really, but she left. And so I send this guy home, and I just sit there kind of pacing around by myself in my house, wondering what I'm going to do. And, you know, can I explain my way out of this? You know, how can I keep serving Jehovah? How am I going to fix this? The elders are going to disfellowship me. But they can't. And that was the thing, was because I had not been baptized, I technically can't be disfellowshipped. So I can disassociate myself. But if I do that, then witnesses can still talk to me because I hadn't done the baptism thing. That's how big baptism is. Like, you do that. If you don't do that, you're much safer than someone that does do that. So I wait around until I get a phone call. I get a phone call from one of the elders, and I'm just like, but like, I feel like my heart is going a million miles an hour as I'm looking at that phone call, and I'm trying to figure out what to do before this. Like, do I pick up? Do I answer? What do I do? So I answer it, and, you know, he basically tells me they know, and they asked me, "Are you going to stop being gay?"
Like it's a switch.
Like it's a switch. Like I'm just doing this for fun, you know. Like that's been one of the biggest frustrations with me about homophobic people is they act like it's just something I decided to do because I'm feeling rebellious, and it's not.
Turn it on and off, like
like I completely tortured myself trying to get rid of it. So I told him, like, I've been praying more than you ever have in your life, I guarantee it. And there's no fixing this. I can't do anything. And he just said, okay, well, that's all I need to know. And he hung up on me. And the next time I saw my mom, she showed up with a bundle of letters from herself, my dad, and all of my friends. And every single letter was everybody ending their relationship with me. And, you know,
holy shit, dude.
Every single one was, you know, we hope you come back to Jehovah. Here's a bunch of scriptures, you know, fuck off. Basically is the way it felt, even from my parents.
That's incredible.
Yeah. And this was less than a month after I turned 18 that all this happened. So I had no job. I hadn't done any school. I hadn't graduated high school. You know, I didn't know what I was going to do. And suddenly I had to be gone. I had to be gone from my parents' house, and they didn't care. I could be homeless and homeless in the country too, which is like, I don't know what I would have done there. There's no buses to go to the city. There's no one to beg off of. I don't know what I would have done.
That's brutal.
Yeah. But despite all this, I still believed. I still believed it all, which is ridiculous to me, but I did. I had a few. It was kind of like the Mormons. The Mormons have that saying about the shelf. You know, you take one doubt, and you file it away on your shelf, and you keep piling them up until the shelf collapses. I maybe had 3 things on my shelf at this point. So I end up calling this guy that I'd had this date with, because he was the last person I knew that I could talk to. Sure. And of course, I mean, we hear this story now, and we know, like, he's 26, I'm 17, and he's a cop. He's probably a predator, but I didn't get that at the time. So of course he was more than happy to help me, and he moved me in with my cat. And he lived in just as rural of an area, but it was in the middle of the mountains. It's a place called Canyon City in Colorado. So I moved up there with him, and man, it sucked. It completely sucked, because as it turned out, of course, he was just using me, and it wasn't like he even really lived at the place he put me in. He would be gone for days at a time, and then he'd just show up. And
was that job related, do you think? Or
no? I'd found out later that he was seeing other boys, like 15, 6-year-old people. I don't think that the place that I was in was actually his house. It was just a place that he had. So I'd basically been thrown out of Jehovah's Witnesses to be some guy's live-in pet, basically.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what to do. I couldn't call my mom and ask her what to do. I couldn't get a job. I kept looking for jobs. I couldn't get anywhere. And it just, like, that period was about 3 months of my life, and I barely remember it, to be honest. It's just like this haze of depression and loneliness, and just not having anything to do and no money. And so he did have guns laying around the house, and so, because he was a cop, he had guns. They were locked up, but they weren't locked up well. So I got one night, and he'd been gone for 3 days, and I was so lonely and sad. And I was just thinking, like, well, Jehovah's not helping me. Nobody likes me. You know, maybe I'm a mistake, and I wasn't supposed to be here. I was an accident. I'm broken. So I contemplated this for a while, and I had one of his guns, and I was gonna do it right there at the table. And it seems like the moment I put the gun in my mouth, my phone rang, and it was my mom on the phone. I couldn't believe it. She was calling in the middle of this, and I answer the phone, and she is crying and crying, and she says, the elders can't make me do this. They can't make me stop talking to my son. They can't force me to do this. I don't care if I get in trouble, but I'm taking you back. I'm getting you home. And
that's awesome.
Yeah, she literally saved my life with that phone call, because if she hadn't have called, I wouldn't be here. I know it. And yeah, so that's kind of like the end of that story. But like my deconversion took a lot longer than just that, because they moved me back over there.
Do you think?
I need to drink.
No worries. Quick question: do you think that how that happened? Which, by the way, I'm sorry you had to go through that too. By the way, do you think that how that happened, you may have regained a little faith at that point?
I did. Yeah, you nailed it, because it was like a miracle moment.
Right.
She saved my life, but I didn't see it as my mom saving my life. I saw it as Jehovah saving my life. He finally answered my prayer.
He said, "Hey, Mom, call him right now." Right.
Yeah. But I still wasn't going back, because I was still stubborn enough that I knew that, I knew that I'm gay, and I'm not going to fake it anymore. I'm not going to lie anymore. So I moved in with them, and they kept feeding me books and stuff to study, publications, the new Watchtower stuff, and I kind of look at it half-assed. And I started saving up my money to try and get out. And then there came a point where they were trying to... So for some context, Jehovah's Witnesses at the time, they held 3 meetings a week. They'd have 2 at the Kingdom Hall, and then the third one was... They called it book study, and it was at somebody's house. Somebody hosted it in their living room, and small groups came in, and they'd have a smaller, more intimate meeting. And my dad really wanted to have that at the house that I was living at. And so the elders said they could go ahead and do that as long as I stayed locked up in my room while they were doing it, and that was fine. And
really?
my old best friend, who stopped talking to me, and still hadn't talked to me, his mom called up, and she was furious that they were letting them have book study in that house with an apostate lurking in the back. And she called my mom first and told her off, and then she called our elders and basically demanded that either they make my parents kick me out of the house, or they stop having book study at the house. And she didn't even go to our congregation. She lived like across the state. It was ridiculous. But she got her way. They basically said, "Oh, there's chat on there on the screen. I just noticed. Thanks, Sympathetic Atheist."
Yeah, if you look up to your right, I believe you should be able to see private chat and live chat.
Oh, I see it all now. Okay. Yeah. Mind blown. Sorry, where was I? So
you were talking about the book meeting, and then that they were pissed off that there was an apostate in the background.
Correct. So she basically got her way, and once again, I got kicked out of the house again. But this time, my parents were more well prepared, and they did help me find a house, and they helped me move into a place. So I finally,
as a parent should do.
Exactly. And all credit is really to my mom. Like she was a good mother the whole time, and I know that it killed her to shun me. She just did it because she thought it was what she had to do. So yeah, my life was pretty uneventful after that for a while, but I still kind of, like, when people would talk about religion, I would tell them, like, oh yeah, Jehovah's Witnesses definitely have the closest thing to the truth. They have the closest thing to the truth. I'm not religious anymore, but if I was religious, I'd be a Jehovah's Witness. So I would say that for a long time. And it probably wasn't until, 10 years later, maybe almost 12 years later, that I was going through all of my stuff. I was doing the KonMari thing, the condo, go through all your stuff and get rid of what doesn't spark joy. And I stumbled across the letters that everybody gave me when they kicked me out, and I'd forgotten all about them. And I sat there and I was reading them, and they just like completely broke me to read them again. All of these feelings that I'd kind of like buried down just bubbled up. And I sat there sobbing while I read letter after letter, and I realized how much I was repressing and how much I wasn't really tackling or dealing with. And at that time is when I really started to go back, and I went into all of the teachings of Jehovah's Witnesses, and I grabbed my Bible and I read the Bible for the first time from beginning to end, not just cherry pick scriptures like they like you to do.
Yeah.
I read it all, and it just all started to fall apart for me. Like, this doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense. None of this makes sense. This is just a big fairy tale.
Yeah.
And it just kind of went on from there, and I've been atheist ever since. And my mom did eventually leave Jehovah's Witnesses. She left
Very good.
a few years ago, left my dad, which was good. He was very abusive. And
Excellent.
yeah, now I have my mom again, and I'm very happy and atheist. And
Now, would you say your mom is atheist, or is she more like an agnostic kind of?
she's more, I don't even know, the closest probably to agnostic. She can't figure out what she believes.
Well, it's hard for some people, right? Especially
Yeah,
when they've
it
been
is
doing
really
it for their whole
hard.
life.
Yeah. And I think she really doesn't like organized religion. So, and I don't know if she really believes in the Bible so much, but she does believe in like a God, or I think she's just kind of vaguely spiritual.
So deistic, more or less.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Or
that's kind of the
pantheism,
stance,
or whatever the hell it is.
yeah. And that's kind of a stance that I've kind of taken toward, like, I am atheist, but I don't want to be like an antagonistic atheist. Like, I don't really care what people believe or anything. Like, I don't want to be an atheist witness knocking on your door and telling you, you know.
Have you not heard the non-existent word something?
Yeah, I don't want to do that. So I don't really care if people have their religious beliefs or spiritualism or whatever. I am very against organized religion. And that's the biggest reason I kind of do what I do, because I think organized religion is just, it's like Jehovah's Witnesses said, it's a snare and a racket.
Yeah. Well, I think people, I'll always advocate and fight for people to believe whatever the hell they want, as long as it doesn't inflict harm on anyone.
Yeah.
That's where I have a problem, right? And that's where I speak up.
Right. And what do you know? Most organized religion happens to inflict harm on people.
Yes, but a lot of the people that are in the religion don't necessarily.
Exactly. There's a lot of great people. A lot of Jehovah's Witnesses are really great people. Even the people that wrote me those letters that crushed me and broke my heart and almost drove me to kill myself, I still think that they're generally good people. They're just brainwashed.
Otherwise, yep.
Yeah.
What's that old saying? Good people will do good, bad people will do bad, and it takes something like religion or an ideology of the sort to make otherwise good people do bad things.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
Yeah, so it's not easy to live with people like that, especially if you're pretty much, you embody everything that they're against, right?
Right.
Like atheism, gayness, all of that. Which is in their books is like evil.
Right. It's all evil. And, you know, I mean, I don't know if you feel this, but I kind of feel like I just don't have a family. I have my mom, which is great, but, you know, my whole family, even if a lot of them are Jehovah's Witnesses, even my aunts, uncles, cousins, but a lot of them are just other denominational Christians. Sure. And, you know, they hate gay people. They do this, they do that. So I just, you know, I don't have a family, basically. I have my mom and my partner, and that's it. And it's kind of a weird feeling when you're venturing around with other people that are, you know, Christians, even Christians that don't really take it seriously. And they're talking about their big family get-togethers and this and that. And it's just something that I can't identify with.
Right. Well, Jeremy, family's not always blood, right? And I think you're in I think you're in at least one or two of the same groups that I'm in. And consider us family, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And that's something that I've learned very strongly from the gay community. I think of if there of any community that shares the most kinship, I think with atheists, it's the gay community, because they've gone through a lot of the same things. They've lost their families. They've had to do this big coming out, and they had to learn to band together afterward, outside of it all, and make their own families, and build their own communities built on love and trust and all of that. So I learned a lot of that from the gay community. And so now I have like my gay family, and I have my atheist family, and so I feel pretty rich.
Yeah, which is good and important, especially you don't want to fall back into that thought pattern that led you to almost pulling the trigger until your mom phoned, right? So,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I'll extend it right now. Like if you've ever start to feel that way, I'm always a message away or a phone call away, man. So.
Well, thank you. I'm totally fine now, though.
Okay. All right. Good.
Long gone.
That's good. That's good.
Very happy.
So tell us a little bit about the podcast, this Uncultured podcast.
Uncultured.
Because you and 3 other people are involved, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
Right?
It's more Jordan's project than mine. I'm doing it with Jordan Johnson, Covert Fade, Patricia Russell, and then myself. And it's really Jordan's, mind baby. But basically the idea of it is kind of approaching pop culture from an ex-evangelical, uncultured standpoint. So many of us come from these backgrounds where you're not allowed to watch Ghostbusters because there's ghosts. You can't watch this because of that. You can't watch, you come out of your cult and you're completely uncultured. You don't know what people are talking about when they say, who are you going to call? The police? I don't know. Who am I supposed to call?
Yeah.
Like you're missing all these pop culture references. So we decided
that must have been weird. Man.
Yeah. It was really weird. So the podcast is kind of about discovering things that you weren't allowed to do, enjoying things that you wouldn't have been allowed to do, and a lot of times we just gab about some
you guys
movie
are pretty
that came out.
entertaining.
Yeah, just have some fun. A problem that we've all kind of noticed with, I'm not sure how this goes with other communities, but the XJW community, people tend to get stuck there. They get stuck and they just only really want to talk about Jehovah's Witnesses. So we kind of wanted to try and help guide them out be that kind of bridge from XJW content to more, the world. There's so much more here. It's great to have that community and all of that, but there's so much more to life that you can enjoy, even if it's just a video game. Or watching Smurfs, like Sunny Secular said. And just introduce everybody to that.
That's cool. So, what do you guys have anything special planned for the podcast anytime soon? Because we just had Atheist Day, and I can't remember if you guys didn't release anything for that, did you?
No, we didn't do anything for Atheist Day. I can't even remember what we've released. We just did something about kind of the quarantines and talking about what we're going to be doing through the quarantines to keep ourselves occupied. And part of what we'll be doing in the future is doing a lot of live streams, video games or whatever, just hangouts on our Discord. We have a Discord channel that's pretty active and lively, and just doing things to get together and get through this and try not to dwell on negative things and embracing. Because honestly, like to me, the best thing I can do right now is play a mind-rotting video game like The Sims or something that robs me of all my time. And the quarantine go by.
It's weird how that happens. Eh?
Yeah.
You're like, next thing you know, 4 hours have gone
by. That's what we need for this whole quarantine. Just get us through the summer and
good video games and Netflix.
Yeah. So that's kind of our plans moving forward.
My friend Empathetic Atheist says, my interview was on Atheist Day. Hell of a present from you, Neil. I don't know if I'd say it was a present. It just happened to fall on that day. That's all.
Yeah.
I pre-schedule everything, right? I do 3 days a week, and I'm usually booked months in advance now. So.
I saw that. You forwarded me your schedule, and I was blown away. Pick one of my 2 open slots.
Yeah, one of the 2 left anyways for March at the time. Yeah, and now I'm starting to take them for May now. So I got my first one in May. Actually, I had to bump them from the end of the end of April to the first day in May because that day at the end of April was actually my blood donation day, so there was no way I could do it. Right. So
nice. Do you do that regularly?
Oh yeah.
I
guess you don't really know the whole story about that with me.
I don't.
My father was British Columbia's highest donor. He did 532 donations by the time they told him he couldn't donate anymore because he had cancer. And when he passed away, I started a Partners for Life group for Canadian Blood Services in his honor. And when I asked him about that, I said, I want to do this for my dad because he was very committed, and we always wanted to, donate together, but we never got the time to do it because our schedules were off. So, because he went in on Wednesdays during the day, and now to honor his commitment, I go on Wednesdays myself. So Wednesdays is one of the days I do the show. But every time I have a donation, I skip that day, right? Mm-hmm. Or I'll do one on Thursday, like I did with Richard Carrier that one time. And they said, sure, we can do that for you, but you'll have to make a pledge for the first year. And I'm like, Mom, how many donations did my dad do? They went 532. I said, we'll probably blow that out of the water. And they're looking at each other like, is he serious? They're like, does he listen? Single people that start these generally come up with maybe 50 donations a year, which is, I would say, it's a little bit more reasonable for you to pledge. And I said, well, you can write that down, but I'm telling you, we're going to blow that number out of the water. And they're like, okay. So anyways, by the end of the first year, I had just under 200 people in the group. And because I did some YouTube stuff, I was on the news a couple of times because I know a couple of people in the industry here. And I had a bunch of papers come in and film me on my first donation. So I was managed to get, I think it was 186 people or something like that in the first year. And by the end of the first year, we had done 681 donations as a group.
Wow. Which
blew the 50 thing out of the water. I beat my pledge by 1,240%. So they gave me a cake. You beat it by 1,240%, right? And I was on the news again, trying to encourage more people. And I now have, I think I'm closing in on about 280. So at least another 100 people since I started doing this.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So, and I try to encourage people to donate blood as much as possible. And by the way, guys, even though the COVID-19 thing is going on right now, you can still donate blood. And I highly recommend you do if you can, because trust me, all this going on, there's going to be a need for it because people are going to be too afraid to go. And the virus does not transfer through blood donation. So don't worry about that. Okay.
Yeah. Well, I got to say, I really appreciate that you do that, especially as, one of Jehovah's Witnesses' big thing is that they don't donate blood at all, and they don't take blood at all. There's a lot of people that have died from it. And so one of the most frustrating things for me as a gay ex-JW is that, I want to give blood really bad just because I was forbidden from doing it for so long. And there's, gay people in a lot of places where I live included are not allowed to give blood. So I really appreciate people like you that do it for all of us that are not allowed to do it.
They've, here in Canada, at least with Canadian Blood Services, they now allow the gay community to donate if they've been tested okay.
I'm moving to Canada.
I'd be honored to have you in my group if you did. One of the guys that did was one of the nurses, I guess, or one of the assistants that does all the poking and stuff like that. His name's Wayne. He's a gay fella as well. And we become really good friends because I would walk in there and he was kind of the norm of cheers. We go, Neil, right? As if I walked in, like it was Norm going into cheers. But and they allow him to donate now as well too, because he was part of the reason that this came to fruition, because he said, yes, people might be gay, but not everyone has AIDS and not everyone is infectious towards others. So people can be screened from the LGBT community. And if they pass, then they should be able to donate. And so he got that ball rolling. And also, I encourage people, if they can't donate for one reason or another, like they have maybe cancer or they might carry HIV or something, they can also donate for experimental purposes to help people try and find cures for this kind of thing. So I highly recommend that if you can't do it for regular donations to help save a life, you can do it for that, which in turn could very possibly save a life. So
Yeah.
you're looking to save lives, and that's the main thing. So there are 2 ways to actually do that through blood.
I didn't know that. That's really cool.
Yeah. So they instead of going to the Canadian Blood Services blood donor clinic that I would normally go to, they would go to the UBC clinic where they have the laboratory, and they could donate, the amount, and then they would use it for testing.
Wow.
Which is pretty cool.
Yeah. Huh.
One of the guys that used to come with me all the time, Terry, he ended up getting cancer, a form of I think rectal cancer of some kind. So they told him he had to, once he'd been cleared, and it's almost 3 years now. Once 5 years passes, he can go back to donating regularly. But he goes in every few months to donate at the UBC clinic for testing.
Oh,
so yeah. So I still get his numbers counted towards my my totals for the year.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'll see if there's anything like that around here that I can do.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And I'm sure once this is only recent that they've allowed the gay community in to donate. So, but I'm sure once it shows that it's running smoothly and that gay people can donate and not have to worry, I'm sure that'll spread to the other blood donators.
I hope so. I mean, United States is always like the last place to adopt any kind of social change.
Well, when you got a president who less than 2 months ago said that the coronavirus was a fucking hoax.
I know, and now he's acting like it would have been nice if we knew about it before.
What a dick.
Yeah.
Fuck.
It started on this guy.
all right. Enough said, because we all know the giant fucking Cheetos and assholes.
Yeah, the raging Cheeto.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But today is day 1 of the quarantine here. They just announced today that we have to stay inside. The whole state is staying inside. So I don't know what I'm going to do with myself for the half a month. Are you guys under orders like that there?
Not quite, but and the weird thing is the two provinces with the most cases is mine and Ontario.
Really?
Yeah. So, well, we're a port city, and we have one of the biggest airports in Canada, and Toronto is also a port city technically, and has one of the largest airports in Canada as well. And then again, there's Montreal, and they're, I think, 3rd or 4th on the list. Then there's Prince Edward Island, who pretty much they don't have anyone living there, so except for a few people that I know. But I don't think they really have any cases there yet, as far as I know. But Nova Scotia just got a few, and that's where Shannon. That's where Shannon is.
Not Shannon Q. We gotta lock her up with a key.
Yeah, she's gold. She's Canadian gold, people. Yeah, she's with. I think Paula G is there with her right now.
Oh, good.
Yeah, so they're doing it, or he was, anyways, until recently. Yeah, I watched her video last night. It was last night where she re-reviewed the Nervardia video about what's his dickwad from England there, that John Clown.
Yeah.
I'm you know what? I'll honestly say I'm really glad that David Worley had that guy on to expose all this stuff to begin with, and then we just took it from there, and we're battling them, and then everyone that was involved in that has dropped out of it.
Yeah, I'm really happy too. I'd never heard of the guy before David had him on.
Yeah, me either.
Yeah, I'm glad that he did that.
Yeah. Have you been on David's show?
No, David ignores me. I don't know why.
What?
I've been trying to get Senpai's attention for months now, but he won't pay attention to me.
I'll have to smack that Brit boy around for you. Also, Objectively Dan was in the comments earlier.
I saw him, yeah.
And he kind of wants to have you on co-host with him like I did on Truth Wanted.
That would be great. I mean, I'm just sitting here with nothing to do for half a month in my little place, so I expect to be doing a lot of streaming.
I'll also put you in touch with my friend Chris Mallard, who does the Daily Atheist Morning Show. Okay. And he'd love to have you on too, guarantee you. I'll let him know. Actually, IQ, IQ's my moderator extraordinary. He's been whoring out all your links here.
Oh, thanks, IQ.
He's one of the good people. Get in touch with Chris like ASAP and let him know to come in here, and then we'll get you guys together, because there's lots of shows that you can do to relieve you of your quarantine boredom.
Yeah.
Here they're saying that you should still do the social distancing and isolation whenever possible. So basically, I go out when I need more beer.
Yeah.
And really, if I need food, I've got the Skip the Dishes app. So,
oh man, so yesterday when they first announced this, or maybe I'm talking the day before, I don't remember, but they first announced this, and they initially declared that alcohol and weed were not considered essential items, and that the shops would be closed the next day. And so I was at work at the time, and the street I work on was a ghost town. The whole week it's been a ghost town until they said this, and everyone exploded out of their houses. Like suddenly, there was traffic backed up for miles. There were people lined up to the liquor stores for blocks. Everyone like panicking to get their vodka or whatever, their beer for the next month and a half. That it lasted 3 whole hours before the city was like, never mind.
Apparently, it is essential.
It's essential. We don't go back inside, please.
Well, I mean, shit, if they're going to lock us up in our homes, we better damn well need some of that stuff to relieve some of the boredom, right?
Yeah.
Don't you close the weed shops in Portland, Governor Brown.
That's right.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah, you're in Colorado.
Yep.
And weed's legal there too.
Yeah. One of the first.
You guys were the petri dish for all of this. To see how it goes. And if I remember correctly, you guys made so much extra money from this. But they were giving you guys checks. Oh, here, we'll share a little bit and you can go buy more weed.
Well, I haven't gotten any checks, but but we did get a huge amount in tax income from it. It's kind of become our new what's the word? Our primary industry. I don't know. It's our primary industry here is weed suddenly. So
I'm in BC, so it's like that here too.
Yeah, it's like even though a lot of other states have legalized it now, I think because Denver is kind of central in the country, we have DIA here, so most flights across the country kind of end up here anyway. So we've just kind of ended up like the Amsterdam of America, which is really weird because I remember when it used to be Cowtown, homophobia town here now, and now it's Amsterdam and it's a party all the time. So it's a welcome change.
I think my plane stopover is actually in Denver for Faithless Forum. I mean, if it's still going, it's in June, so there's enough time where they can, make a decision whether or not they want it to happen or not, whether or not it'll be safe enough at that point.
The biggest thing I'm worried about, I'm not sure. As far as I know, Faithless Forum is still on and everything. Yeah. I'm just worried about everyone being out of work and not being able to afford going anymore. That's kind of what I'm worried about personally right now. But we'll see. Hopefully.
Oh yeah, you're going to be there if it does happen.
If it does happen, yes, I'm going to be there.
Oh, well, we shall have a drink together. Absolutely, for sure.
Yes, absolutely.
Just so you know, I sent a quick note to Telltale and X-Cult Baby because they X-Cult can't. She's unavailable to do that. And of course Owen hasn't gotten back to me yet. Fucking slacker.
Where's Shannon? I need some Shannon in my life.
You need some Shannon? Should I give her a quick
let's give her a ring.
Poke? Let me give Shannon a quick poke. Oh wait. I should rephrase that. Sorry, Paul. Let me see. I'll try and pull the heartstrings.
Okay.
Let's see. So I have Jeremy.
So Nebraskans who are pissed that their conservative state doesn't allow anything at all across the border and buy weed in Colorado. You're right. Divine disbelief. I think I've seen a few of you hopping over.
If you can't get there, you can always come here to BC, to Vancouver. We got a really good friend of mine who owns Frankie G's Pub just down the road is opening up a dispensary. So
nice.
I see some good deals in the future.
Are your borders still open?
No, the borders are only essential services can go through right now. There's no visiting. Like I couldn't go visit my buddies in Seattle if I wanted to right now. So
okay, it's wild times.
Well, let's see what she says. Because remember, she's 4 hours ahead, right? So I'm on the the left coast, and she's on the right coast.
So I'm right in the middle.
Are you?
Yeah. There's Jordan. He's the guy behind Un-cult-ured Cast, the little blue head there. You don't want to come to Seattle right now, anyways. He says he's right. He's right.
Are you in Seattle, Jordan? Fuck, we're neighbors. You're going to get an NHL team next year. They're by default, because I'm a Seahawks fan, because we don't have NFL in Canada. We got the crappy football league, aka the CFL. So I kind of, the funny thing is I work with a fellow by the name of Corey Philpott, who used to be a BC Lion until his hip went out. And he became good friends with my old boss, who used to throw money at the team back in the day. So, and he's good people. But anyway, so I'm a Seahawks fan, and I'm gonna have to be a whatever the fuck they decide to call the team fan as well. Because it'll be Seattle and Vancouver, and I'll guarantee you there's going to be a rivalry between the two.
Oh yeah,
they're so close. Literally 2 hours. I'm like literally I could get to Seattle in 2 hours or less because I drive like an asshole. So I could be there in no time. Give me 30 minutes, I'll be in Seattle. Empathetic Atheist. That's just why I have to update my banners, because he became my one of my Patreons yesterday.
Oh, nice. I think I saw part of him on you had him on yesterday, right?
I did, yeah.
I think I saw him.
Yeah. He's good people. Jordan's good people. It was a lot of fun hanging out with him.
Yeah.
We're getting close to the top of the hour, and you've already said that you're good for an after party. So anyone that would like to join us, and I already know that there's a couple of folks that definitely want to join, which is Divine Disbelief. Or he'll come on as the names escape me. Don't get old people. The memory is the first thing to go, by the way.
I'm trying. The Jehovah's Witnesses told me I'd never grow old, and it's starting to happen. I want my money back.
Well, if you drink that Jilly juice, I hear that helps. Her name is Susan, but he always calls himself Susan's boyfriend instead of Nathaniel's name, right? So it's even how he calls himself on Twitter right now, I believe. Which reminds me, guys, all the links for Jeremy are down below. You can go to his actual personal website. You can go to the Un-cult-ured podcast website, which has a link to listen to their podcasts.
And to our Discord, you can hang out with me. And check out my YouTube channel.
I've got a link to that, and I've got your Patreon down there too, by the way.
Oh, thank you. I feel weird having a Patreon, but yeah.
Really? I did too for the first while.
I just started it, yeah.
Like begging. So
it does. Well, and I'm a really slow content creator, so I just feel kind of bad that I'm not like pumping them out, but
you do a couple a month, people are happy, dude.
Yeah.
And that way you're not robbing them of all their cash too, especially if they're like $5 or $10 donors. And you do like 20 a month. Think, holy fuck, there goes my bank account. Yeah. This is why I only offer monthly subscriptions and not per video. So you can do like $1 a month, $5 a month.
Yeah.
I think I max out at 20, so it's not too hard on people. I said hard on. Anyways, well, what do you say we wrap this up then? And we'll jump into an after party a little early for a change.
It sounds great.
And give you a chance to refill your drink. I've got some beers here, but I'm down one, so I'll reload with another one. And I'm going to go and have a quick smoke, as I do between, which is why I scheduled the after party for 10 after 5. My time. So it gives me a bit of a break. I go pee, I reload, and I go have a quick smoke, maybe a puff or two, because it's the law in BC. We have to smoke weed here. I'm just kidding. So so thank you everyone for joining Jeremy and I hope you guys enjoyed the conversation as much as we did having it. Until next time, or Jeremy, by the way, before I close out, I want to thank you very much for coming on and joining me today.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. And thank you for everybody that showed up to watch me go over my trauma.
I'll admit, man, there were moments there where I just about broke into tears a little bit, because that's pretty heartbreaking shit that you had to go through, dude. Well, so, all right. So until next time, guys, like I always say at the end of these conversations, like the late, great Christopher Hitchens once said, it's called faith because it's not knowledge And Santi, I saw the super chat. Thank you very much. And we'll see you guys next time.
Bye.
Apparently it's taking long to end. Sometimes my internet connection gets a little slow here because there's like 1 billion people on it right now because everyone's at home.
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, we're having trouble connecting. Please check your internet connection.